The main character, scientist named Sebastian, is shown at the start of the movie. He was a scientist who invented a medicine while experiencing a long struggle, through which he could vanish any organism including human beings and animals. But he failed to invent a medicine which could turn back the invisible things. He had been working on this project for 1 year, so he may succeed in turning the disappeared things back. He struggles hard on it and finally his effort bears fruit. It means he was successful in inventing a medicine that could resurrect the disappeared things. In fact, he had disappeared many animals with the serum to make the things invisible, which he wanted to turn back. When he was successful in inventing it, he shared it with another coworker scientist, and he invites them to laboratory. There was a gorilla which was made invisible. After a great effort, they first knock it out. Afterwards, its feet and hands are fastened to the bed, setting it in a lying position. They inject Sebastian's made medicine to it, which was invented to reverse the invisible things. It faces much trouble when the medicine is injected into it by them, because its heart rate is increased. Witnessing its condition, it was seeming that gorilla will not survive, but they tried to save it while shocking its heart. Consequently, Gorilla's heartbeat begins to be normal. Gradually, its whole body was restoring, and Gorilla takes the hold of its body completely. Being successful in doing so, they are so excited, because their inventions and experiments have got success. Here it is revealed that all experiments were being conducted for military. Their meeting is held with military. Sebastian tells a lie that he still has not gained any success, and he asks for more time to get success. Military declares that you have already taken much time. We will recruit another at your place if you show no improvement. Coming outside, Sebastian's friends named Linda and Matthew ask him, "Why did you tell a lie in the meeting that you did not achieve success? Even you have got the success." He says, "It is because I want to test this medicine on any human being." And Sebastian himself was that subject human being, not anyone else. He arranges a meeting with his other co-workers. He also tells a lie to his co-workers, that military has permitted us to test this medicine on the human beings. In fact, the reality was different. He says, "I want to test it on my own body." Linda and Matthew also support him in this matter. Even it is not as such but a lie, Sebastian makes his body injected with that medicine. As a result, he feels much pain at last. He is vanished, but he also loses his consciousness along with it. He takes 17 hours while restoring his consciousness. Coming into senses, he was finding difficult to endure light. He has to switch off the light, then all lights are switched off. Sebastian was invisible completely. His body is tested. It is clear there is nothing disturbing in his body. All of the girls in the area were uneasy and restless, because they were sensing Sebastian's presence in their surroundings. 3 days have passed. Now it was the time to turn Sebastian visible. They inject him that medicine which could make him visible. Sebastian again faces trouble. The most devastating thing is this: he cannot turn himself visible, and he is in critical condition. He is nearer his death. Finding no way, they mask Sebastian so he may be visible before anyone. Sebastian is got angry because of this. He argues Matthew while shouting at him. He says, "You have pained me enough within 10 days after burning me in the light. I am only one to anger this pain." Sebastian was now turning into visible, so his psychological condition was also worsening. Being invisible, he was restless, so yearned to leave from here. One day, Sebastian leaves the laboratory vexatious. He directly comes to his house. Coming to house, he observes his neighbor girl, who had been the focus of him some years ago. Sebastian unmasks himself. He rings that girl house's doorbell. There is no one when she opens the door to check. Being invisible, he enters her house. Linda catches the sight of Sebastian's mask coming to his house. Witnessing it, she is frightened. Linda returns to the laboratory, and she holds a meeting with her other co-workers. That Sebastian is not risk-free for us because he was wandering without mask in state of invisibility. At the same time, Sebastian approaches there. Linda threatens that if he does it again, she will file a complaint with the military. Then Sebastian agrees with Linda, but there was still a fear in their hearts. Because Sebastian was weird psychologically, they decide to keep an eye on Sebastian every time. There was a camera in the laboratory that could detect Sebastian even in his invisible condition. Sebastian was aware that he is being watched, so he cannot leave this laboratory now. He plays previous recording while creating problem in the camera setting, so others may think he is still in the laboratory. Doing so, he goes out of the laboratory, and he directly moves to Linda's house. Going there, he comes to know about the affair between Linda and Matthew. He loses his temper because he had affectionate feelings for Linda. He breaks the window glass of her house in fit of fury. Looking outside, Linda finds no one. She suspects that he may be Sebastian. She calls to the laboratory to ensure it, and an active worker in the laboratory informs Linda Sebastian is here, because there's still an earlier recording playing in the background when Sebastian was on his bed lying. So he thinks that Sebastian is there, but actually he is not. Returning back to laboratory, Sebastian is enraged. He kills a dog there. When the veterinarian returns the next day to serve food to the animals, she finds the dead dog. She asks Sebastian about it. "Are you responsible for it?" Sebastian replies, I don't know even a bit about it, making it sure she checks all the video recordings. But she does not get a single point. Sebastian again visits Linda's house at night, and Linda feels the presence of Sebastian there. She suspects there is surely someone. At this time, she herself goes to laboratory for investigation. Then she knows that Sebastian has tried to defy them. Because Sebastian isn't present, then she decides to tell her senior doctor about it. Visiting that senior doctor, Linda and Matthew reveal everything to him. Being furious, that doctor excludes Linda and Matthew from this project. That doctor was going to reveal it to his other co-workers as both leave. But that phone had become unresponsive. Meanwhile, Sebastian reaches there. He kills the senior doctor while drowning him. Next morning, Sebastian again comes to the laboratory. Linda and Matthew was waiting for the call of the senior doctor. Because it was the meeting day, there is no call from the senior doctor because he was no more. Then Linda calls to that doctor to know. Then she comes to know that doctor is dead because of being drowned. Then Linda decides to open the fact of this project to everyone. Because Sebastian's invisibility was only known as laboratory co-workers. Rest of the people were unaware about it. Then she calls. His phone was also unresponsive. They try to go outside, but no door was opening because Sebastian had deactivated the door lock's codes. There was only Sebastian's code which was operating. They decide to seize Sebastian at any cost because he was still in that laboratory. Sebastian kills one of the girls among them, who returns to laboratory in order to take her left thing. They had knowledge that Sebastian will end them one by one because he did not want to reveal the reality of his invisibility to anyone. They detect Sebastian's location through a device placed in the laboratory. Two people move there to catch him. One of them is Matthew, another is his friend. Sebastian injures Matthew's friend there. Matthew also fires his gun on Sebastian, but he gets no harm and his shape appears there and he flees from there. Matthew's friend's blood was much wasted, so the blood is required for him. Then Linda's friend goes to arrange blood and Sebastian also approaches there, and he ends that girl at the same time. Matthew's friend also meets his fate. Now there were only 3 survivors, including Linda, Matthew, and one of their friends. Now they search for Linda's friend who had gone to arrange blood. They find her body in the cold room. Moreover, third survivor besides Linda and Matthew is also killed with an arm rod by Sebastian. Sebastian also injures Matthew when he exerts to save his friend. He leaves Linda and Matthew in freezer cold room and turns on it. He leaves them there and goes away. He wanted to end them because of the cold temperature, and the freezer's temperature was gradually bringing down. But Linda tries to crack the door courageously, but of no avail. Being injured, Matthew is unconscious. Now Sebastian comes on the scene, who gets ready properly. He makes a bomb using a chemical, then he leaves after setting its timing. On the other side, Linda was also struggling to break the door using electromagnet, and at this time she has succeeded and the door is unlocked. She brings Matthew out from there after unlocking the door, and she inflames near him because his body had frozen. Now Linda moves to that place where Sebastian is present. Sebastian was in the elevator. Linda approaches there when elevator's door is about to close. Linda has a flamethrower, so she uses it to burn Sebastian. Sebastian was wrapped in flames and his body was also burning gradually. Being aggressive and wounded, Sebastian wanted to take revenge from Linda. He wanted to finish her in any way, then Linda turns on the extinguisher. As a result, water starts falling from there. Now Sebastian was little visible and he begins to win Linda pathetically. Keeping his foot on her neck, he tries to choke her. Holding an iron rod, Matthew rides it when Linda is nearly to die, and he hits Sebastian's head with that iron rod. Consequently, Sebastian falls down there. Matthew lifts Linda up and both begin to leave from there. Sebastian, who was still alive, picks up that iron rod. He is almost to hit Matthew with that rod that he gets awareness. While trying to push Sebastian, the rod makes contact with an electric cable, causing an electric shock to be transmitted to Sebastian's body. As a result, Sebastian is knocked out there, falling down. Then Matthew and Linda move to a place where Sebastian had fixed a bomb. Both had understood that they have a short time, and they cannot stop the explosion of this bomb. And they also want to leave this place, but they could not escape through elevator, because Sebastian had deactivated the operation of elevator. So they climb the ladder which is with the elevator. The bomb is exploded as they are climbing. While climbing, Sebastian holds the foot of Linda from downward, because Sebastian was still alive, and Matthew advances to rescue Linda. But Sebastian comes into the elevator with Linda before Matthew approaches. Standing in the elevator, Linda holds a settled cable in the elevator. It was the cable which was bringing the elevator from top to down. Linda presses a button there with her foot. Consequently, the cable is disconnected with the elevator, and Sebastian falls down with that elevator. Because of the explosion, there is fire on the bottom side. As a result, Sebastian burns to death, and Linda begins to move towards Matthew cautiously. Approaching to Matthew, both are survived and excited. The movie also ends alone.